Hi, welcome back to Herbal Botany's Pharmacy. My name is Dr. Tamitha Davis. Today I want to share with you some of my favorite herb books. Recently it's been brought to my attention, something I was completely unaware of, is that when you go to buy books, that some of these books are artificially intelligently made, and so they pretty much just take somebody else's work, reword it a little bit, change the cover, make up an author, and sell it. And I actually received a lot of herbal books as gifts, and I was like, you know what? Going through some of the books, some of the information I didn't recall on certain herbs, and there's always things that, you find out differently that some people are using herbal remedies for that you may not have heard of. But like in a couple of my books I was reading, I was like, you know what? I do remember a few of the things being kind of similar, but it wasn't, the wording was a little off. Like maybe somebody who didn't know how to speak proper English was writing them. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever used Google Translate. There's a guy who does recipes with Google Translate. He redoes it like 5 or 6 times and it comes up with some crazy wording. And I was thinking, I try to find those books, but I have my favorite books, so I usually just lend out the other books to people. So I want to make sure I let them know that the information in there may not be correct or it may be misleading. But these books that I'm going to show you are from people that are legitimate, and I've met some of them through the herb school that I went to in Provo, Utah, the School of Natural Healing, founded by Dr. John Christopher. And if you're an herbalist, you probably have heard of him. If not, I recommend that you guys look him up, John Christopher. He's an awesome guy. His children and grandchildren are running his school now. And so these are all books that I studied. And when I went to my naturopath school, they've made reference to him and a couple other of these doctors and herbalists. So I do know that they are legitimate, and let's go ahead and jump into some of these books. All right, so my very first book that I highly recommend is Medicinal Plants and Herbs, and this is the Peterson Field Guide. So you can go out in the field, and it has pictures of them, has the description of them, what kind of soil they like, environment, and all that stuff, and how to properly identify them, and some lookalikes that could be poisonous. So it has a lot of information. It's written by Stephen Foster and Christopher Hobbs. I have met Dr. Christopher Hobbs at the School of Natural Healing. He did a seminar there that I attended. He's an awesome guy, a lot of good information. So highly, highly recommend. I got this off of, actually I got this one from Barnes & Noble. So if you are ordering books from like a legitimate bookstore, then more likely they probably are real. Just make sure you look up the author, but I do know that this one is legitimate because my school recommended it and it's been awesome. It's like my little Bible. So, all right, let's look at another one. Next book is Growing and Using Herbs Successfully by Betty E.M. Jacobs. I got this one also while I was attending the School of Natural Healing, and it just goes through, so I have all kinds of things marked in here, but it just tells you how to plant your herbs, the right environment that they need, how to give it the right nutrients it needs, everything, and then how to harvest them, what parts of the plant that you need to harvest. It gives great details of what they look like and what they've been used for traditionally from our ancestors, and just a lot of really good information. Also talks about insects and diseases and just everything that you need to know. It even has a formula in here for fertilizer and soil mixes. See, there's soil mixes and how to mix those up too. It'll give you like a recipe on how to make soil mixes for specific plants and everything. It is an awesome, awesome book and highly recommend it. Betty E.M. Jacobs and Growing and Using Herbs Successfully. All right. The next book you all might find a little boring. I found it very interesting. This also was a book that I used while I was attending the School of Natural Healing, but it's Botany for Gardeners. This is a 3rd edition by Brian Capon. And it has a lot of information here of how plant structures, the cells of it, how the pollen works, and just a lot of good information on like plants as foods and global warming and how plants have changed from decades to decades, the reproduction, as I mentioned before, and here how you can help pollinate plants, and just a lot of good information. If you're a geek like me, then this is highly recommended. So that way you can actually kind of know how your plants grow and plant them near companion plants and stuff to help them to resist against insects, things like that. So this one here, highly recommended, 3rd edition. And I'm assuming there's 1 and 2 edition or maybe a 4th one, but this one was the one that the school had recommended. So this is the only one that I have. You can check out some other ones, but yeah, we'll see, Lean. All right, so my last book that I'm going to show you, I printed it off as an ebook because it was a very expensive book, but I like it because the font's bigger and I can make copies of pages, I can see things, I can highlight things like that. It is a very expensive book, like I mentioned, but so well worth it. And it's Dr. Christopher's Herbal Syllabus, and it goes through details of every single illness that you could possibly have and the herbs to use, and it has the recipe. So if you have like heartburn, for instance, it'll tell you 2 parts this, 3 parts that, and it tells you how to make like different salves and everything. But this is it. I will leave Dr. Christopher's website down below. You can buy this book off of Amazon, Dr. Christopher's Herbal Syllabus. It is close to $100. I was able to purchase this through the School of Natural Healing, the ebook. I don't know if they have the ebook on their website. They may, and that way you could just print it off yourself. I'm pretty sure there's over 700 pages in here. But yes, this has so much information, and I love just having it on hand. And so let me see if I can show you. Get it turned around here. But it'll have like the actual formula. I don't know if y'all obviously can't see my camera and this at the same time, but it has a formula of exactly the parts that you need, how to administer it, and the information on the plants too. It has like how you take care of the plants, and it is just the best book. Every single illness that you can think of. Dr. Christopher, amazing man. I wish I could have met him. Unfortunately, he passed away probably when I was like 4 years old back in the 80s. But his children, like I mentioned, I think I mentioned before, that his children and his grandchildren are continuing his legacy, and they have not changed any of his formulas. He's helped thousands of people, tens of thousands of people used to come and see him. A lot of people has gone through his schooling. Like I said, almost every herbalist should have heard of him, and highly recommend Dr. Christopher's Herbal Syllabus. I know it's a little expensive, but it's well worth the investment, especially if it's like a pharmacy for your family. You keep your family healthy, grow the herbs. Most places, I'm out here in the Pacific Northwest, which is where he attended school. He was stationed in the Army, not too far from here, and then he moved to Provo, Utah. But a lot of the plants he talks about are things that grow here in the United States. So highly, highly recommend you investing in this book. In my other videos, I'm always talking about that we need to get back to nature. What is nature doing that we are not doing? And that's what I'm going to continue to promote, and hope that everybody kind of catches on that we're not victims. We don't need to rely on our medical system. We can grow our own medicinal plants. I just started a couple years ago, just keep adding things every year, just playing around with different things. And it is so awesome. And my testimony is that I was able to heal myself from an autoimmune condition that the doctors, they was like, hey, you know, you're just going to have to deal with these symptoms. You're going to have to deal with this illness for the rest of your life. There's no cure. But by using God's plan, you know, I always talk about my prayer and meditation, and he led me to join a school several years ago. And I know that this is the right way. Now, I'm not saying that conventional medicine is not needed. We definitely need it. So if you're like in a car accident, you break your leg and stuff, yes, you're going to need that. Or if you're having a heart attack, stroke, you know, you need that. But preventative care and basic care is essential. And I think that we need to get back to nature, doing what nature is doing, and helping ourselves, helping our family, and just having a more vibrant life, and really studying and being aware of, you know, having these books on hand. You know, you never know what the apocalypse is going to happen, and there's zombies walking around. But yeah, we need to put on that full armor of God and go out and make sure we're fully equipped to take care of our family, just in case something happens. You know, we went through a pandemic and everything was shut down, and I really got into gardening, and I found a lot of my favorite YouTubers, M.I. Gardener, there's Roots and Refuge Farm, and there's Garden Answer. I love the homesteading families and just getting back to what we're supposed to be doing, and going to the grocery store every few days and stuff, and buying stuff that we don't know where it's been, and doing pharmaceutical medications. It seems like we're just going back. And I've said before in my other videos that there's more diseases now than there was like 50 years ago. And because we're eating poorer now, that's where a lot of disease is coming from. What goes in here affects everything. So we really want to get back to nature and start growing our own foods, start growing our own medicine, and just taking care of ourselves. Nobody else is going to take care of us for us, and we need to build this community. I'm really glad that Jess has mentioned of doing these videos and trying to get books, recommended books out, so we can all work together and just build a community and get the word out. We need to get word out. I'm always talking to people at church. I'm like, hey, here's some plants. I'm always growing things and giving people plants. That's what I do. And they love it, and they'll like kind of be, hey, this is doing really well, or they'll ask me questions and I can give them references and say, hey, you know, maybe try this natural fertilizer instead. So we got to help each other, and that's the way God has intended us, to help each other, to show love. And this is me showing love to you guys by telling you some of my favorite books and letting you know that you can grow stuff. My husband's from Dallas. He didn't know anything about growing, and he gets excited now when he starts seeing food being brought in, and he's more inclined to want to go out and help me. Before, he didn't want to help me, so it was too much work. It's not too much work. You know, if you're doing it for a purpose and a reason, you'll enjoy it, I promise. And we need to be out in nature. We need to be out in the sunshine. We don't get a whole lot of sunshine here in the Pacific Northwest, but yeah, we still need to get outside. All right, you guys, I rambled enough, I know. So I hope you guys found this information helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!